Welcome to Chapter 2. With an understanding of the origins and purpose behind the Lean Way and Lean production system, you can begin to deconstruct the methods and principles that make up these concepts. We'll start with the roots of the system, the role of your leaders in a lean company, and how they can create an atmosphere of learning, improvement, and innovation. At the end of this chapter, you and Tom will be able to understand the importance of becoming a learning organization with a long-term outlook, identify the 4 most important lean leadership principles in a company, understand why going to the source to see an issue for yourself is vital to problem solving, use the elements of grasping a situation to make decisions slowly and with consensus to ensure rapid implementation, execute the steps of continuous improvement through Kaizen, and benefit from relentless reflection in both successes and failures. Ready to test your skills? Click the test button to take the test at any time. The famous Lean Production System, LPS, is much more than a group of production tools used to create efficiency, like Kanban. The true power of LPS is the commitment of company leaders to invest in and support their people, and to create a culture that values learning and improvement as much as profit. This thinking is the true extension of the principles of the Lean Way. This system values the customer above all else and gives a great deal of trust and responsibility to every employee in the company. The Lean Way must be planted in each worker and spread throughout the company so that everyone can implement the philosophies and methods of LPS. With this culture in place, learning and improvement will fertilize the lean tree so that it grows bigger throughout your organization and extends even to your partners and customers. The Lean Way philosophy. Lean thinking, though focused on the employee and customer, must start at the top with company leaders. Leaders should resist the urge to implement the quick fix or chase the quick buck. They should reinvest profits to grow the company rather than waste short-term returns. And they should align the organization with a common purpose, to provide value for the customer, society, and the economy decades into the future. If leaders maintain a long-term outlook with a constancy of purpose, you can achieve a sustained profit. A major part of transitioning from traditional leadership to lean leadership is to align the functions of all areas and levels of the company to achieve high-level strategic objectives. This is done through the concept of Hoshin Kanri, more commonly known as strategy or policy deployment. Leaders use policy deployment to plan and prioritize improvement projects that will help the company reach its objectives. Specifically, executives identify improvement goals to be shared by the whole company, communicate those goals to all leaders, involve managers and employee teams in planning individual team goals that together aim to achieve the organizational goals, hold teams accountable for achieving their parts of the plan. This system works because of its focus on time and people. Goals are usually looked at in terms of annual and 5-year periods. And with people, the objective is to match available resources with desirable projects so that only the most important and desirable projects are authorized. In contrast, a traditional company may set high-level goals, but employees have no idea how they contribute. As a result, these goals fizzle out over time instead of spreading. Policy deployment. As its name suggests, the Lean strategy deploys management targets down the company hierarchy. At each level, targets are translated into activities and actions for the next level down. In this way, the leader's vision is translated into understandable strategies and attainable targets that are applied in all functions of the company. A common communication vehicle for both projects and targets in policy deployment is the X matrix. On one sheet, leaders can list short-term goals, long-range goals, targets or metrics, selected improvement or project activities, assigned resources, and results. Basically, management can make hours and hours of thinking and forecasting easy to understand and execute, aligning the organization toward its common goals. With policy plans in place, the daily bottom-line pressures don't trump the company's strategic goals. Rather, the goals themselves determine and manage the company's short-term activities.
So we just get marching orders from the suits and then do our jobs? Kinda sounds like the norm.
Not at all. The best way to focus on the future while excelling in the present, to actually implement policy deployment and achieve its objectives, is to become a learning organization. Along with its focus on customer and employee needs, the Lean Way relies on continuous improvement, where every employee is relied upon to think, innovate, and improve. Policy deployment, for instance, isn't all top-down command. Leaders call upon employees to give feedback about the time and resources needed to achieve the targets. Continuous improvement is achieved by giving the control to work teams. In this culture, the control of operations shifts from a directive management approach to a system of empowered employees. Leaders look at abnormal conditions not as failures, but as opportunities to improve current standards.
What about managers? Where do we fit in if everybody has power? I can't imagine a day without people marching in and out of my office.
Lean leadership principles. Anyone in a leadership capacity should always be where or near where the work is done to drive the organizational learning and oversee operations. The lean job of executive management is to observe, support, empower, and trust the workers under their supervision. Here you can see the principles that support this new way of thinking about management style. The first step in any evaluation, problem-solving, or research process is to grasp the actual situation at its actual place. The only way for a leader, or any worker, to truly improve a process or solve a problem is to make decisions based on personal observation, rather than relying on reports. For instance, how could this manager confidently report on or change his employee's process if he wasn't on hand to observe it? Deep understanding is best gained through combining observation and experience with data, preferably personally verified data. Without seeing, you're vulnerable to the element of surprise inherent in the guesswork that comes with only looking at a report. In a learning organization, employees and leaders are scientists, or better yet, investigators who go to the source to think deeply about a problem. Of course, this requires that leaders don't rule from an ivory tower. In a lean company, it isn't uncommon for managers to spend all day on the floor or to have offices right on the floor. There they can observe the work and mentor employees to maintain all standards. Think of it this way. Would a detective solve a crime only by listening to a police report or watching the news? Do you know who done it? Instructions. You're the investigator working a new robbery case, Gumshoe. At your disposal is the police report written by the first patrolman on the scene. Just so happens that one of the victims plays golf with the chief at the county country club, making this a high-priority case. Based on the incident report, the chief has ordered the apprehension of these suspects. Click the scumbag who did it so we can get him off the streets. Close the instructions to begin. Activity complete. You're out of luck, sport. The suspect is lawyered up. We have to release him because you have no hard evidence of his crime. In fact, we couldn't have charged anyone at this point. You're telling me you didn't even go to the scene to investigate yourself? You should know that investigators must report their observations on site, document the problem, take witness statements, survey the conditions. Activity complete. You're out of luck. Activity complete. You're out of luck, sport. The suspect is lawyered up. We have to release him because you have no hard evidence of his crime.
Well, I get it, but leaders can't be everywhere at once. Aren't I supposed to trust my guys?
You're right. When you aren't on the scene of a problem, an employee must have the authority to call attention to the problem. If a gathered team can't resolve the issue within their span of control, they may need leaders to initiate nemawashi with other groups in the company. In a lean enterprise, decisions often are made by teams through nemawashi, which is usually related to managers working with managers from other areas to solve important problems. Nemawashi is an informal method of thorough consideration in decision-making. You make the best decisions when multiple people have a stake, multiple opinions are considered, multiple solutions are tested, and enough time is taken to ensure agreement. 5 elements of grasping the situation. When making decisions in a team environment, a trademark of a lean company, turning conflict into consensus motivates everyone to fully support the decision. The goal is to end up with one solution that management can approve, with oversight necessary only when the group struggles or time is short. The strategies you see here are part of the informal nemawashi process required to grasp the situation. They often are part of a larger problem-solving process that you'll learn about shortly.
Being thorough is great and all, but our bosses barely give us enough time for bathroom breaks.
What they'll soon realize is that more time spent up front planning and evaluating leads to savings in time and money down the road. If you start by considering options and building consensus, you eliminate rework and disagreements. This process is a different way of looking at the famous Plan, Do, Check, Act (PDCA) cycle. This continuous improvement method is useful for implementing changes and prioritizing problems. Of course, pinpointing a problem area and informally deciding on a quick course of action is only a piece of the pie. Making a lasting improvement, known as Kaizen in a lean company, is the star of the show. Kaizen is Japanese for change for the good or continuous improvement. The concept is to make improvements continuously in incremental steps, perhaps to the same process over and over. The goal is to target areas ripe for improvement, such as wasteful processes that don't add value to your product, and create teams to carry out the improvements. These steps are done with different methods that you'll learn about later. Then, after you carry out a process of improvement, stop. Track the results, set a new standard, and later try to improve on the improvement. Improving a process instructions. A Kaizen team has targeted a process for an improvement event. Your job is to move the rock up the hill in order to reach all the improvement goals set for this process. Close the instructions to begin. Activity feedback. You made it to the first plateau, your first goal, so why did you get crushed? See if you can find a way to keep the process from reverting back to its old wasteful ways. Crushed again. Hint: standardizing a process allows everyone to be on the same page after an improvement, and it prevents people from going back to how things are always done. Can you prevent the rock from going back downhill? Activity feedback. Good job! You have standardized the new process after an improvement event. Now every worker can properly execute the new process. Keep on improving. Click the arrow to continue. Activity feedback. Kaizen boils down to learning from mistakes. You want to get to the bottom of a problem, determine a countermeasure that will permanently fix it, empower employees to execute it, and transfer the new knowledge to all the stakeholders. In a lean company, this Kaizen progression can be broken into more formal PDCA stages that ultimately lead to the standardization of a process improvement, machine improvement, work improvement, and so on. With your Kaizen team in place, a cross-functional team of employees selected especially for this task determine the current state of the process or machine. Now, what is the ultimate goal of the improvement? In other words, what is the ideal state of the process or machine? Try to map the gap between the current situation and the ideal situation. Time to go to the source, to see for yourself, to truly understand the problem. This is where Nemawashi begins to fit in with the more formal Kaizen process. Now that you're there, does the team's view of the current situation now change? Can you gather any additional information that will help you improve the situation? Is the scope of the problem appropriate for the team to resolve, or should the team narrow its focus to address only part of the problem? Can you pinpoint the point of cause? With the current situation clarified, the team can make the commitment to improve the vital areas of the process. At this point, set measurable, challenging improvement targets for the Kaizen team to meet. Put in some no-compromise goals that you are determined to reach. What do you want to accomplish? By how much? By when? Include time, percentage improvements, incidence reductions, whatever targets are appropriate. With information gathered during the investigation of the situation, go and see again, this time focusing on the narrower problem. Again, you think deeply to get to the root cause. Select an appropriate problem-solving tool. For instance, if the problem is straightforward, go with the informal why questions to consider all possibilities without prejudice. From this information, come to a consensus on what's considered the root cause of the situation. Come up with as many potential solutions as you can to fix the root cause of the problem. As a team, narrow the countermeasures to only the least expensive, most practical, and most effective. Build consensus on the best possible solution and create a detailed plan on how to execute the solution. With all the preparatory work done, the team is ready to quickly execute the countermeasure. Document who will do what by when. Work as a team and be steadfast in your effort to clear every hurdle in the process. Update stakeholders on your process by following the proper communication procedures, such as the brief informal executive meetings. Upon completion of the countermeasure, the team evaluates the overall result as well as the countermeasure itself. Focus the evaluation on the following viewpoints: the customers, the companies, and the teams. How would each categorize the improvement? Did the actions meet the targets set in Step 3? Share your findings with all stakeholders. Come to grips with the factors behind the program's success or failure. Reflect on the Kaizen event. If the improvement is deemed a success, standardize the new process or setup. Then communicate the change to all stakeholders so that everyone can teach and follow the new protocol. If the team feels confident in its improvement process and countermeasure, it can share those details as well. If the improvement is deemed a failure, reflect with managers and other leaders. What lessons can the team learn? What step could you have executed more effectively? Reset at the point the team veered off course or start over at the beginning. You'll learn more about reflection later in this chapter. Finally, at the right time, start a new round of Kaizen. No process or machine is perfect. Important, having a standardized work process is a must before sustained or continuous improvement can take place.
I liked it better when I thought we just walked around our floor, Kaizen the problems we see, and ended up lean. But now there are 8 steps? We don't have time for all that paperwork.
Tom, the fact is, handle vision needs to improve, and everyone must be prepared to do things differently. Perhaps if you find that the 8 steps are too many, you could start by using the simple Nimawashi strategies for now. Either way, the quest to improve should be continuous, a never-ending plan, do, check, act cycle. This is the heart of the lean message. Relentlessly pursue excellence. There is always waste to be removed, and it has to be removed in every area of the production process in order for a company to achieve lean product flow, which we'll learn more about later in our tour. The lean principle of relentless reflection goes hand in hand with continuous improvement. You can have leaders who interact with processes on the floor, facilitate planning periods, and focus on continuous improvement, but the pinnacle of lean leadership is to never be satisfied with goals or progress. After an improvement is made or a new product is designed, reflect on the result and the process. Examine successes and identify shortcomings. Determine what can be done better, more efficiently, and with less cost.
Whatever happened to, if it isn't broke, don't fix it?
Any rate below 100% isn't acceptable for lean customers like Cupco. This concept can seem like focusing on the negative, but it's simply the result of living in a fiercely competitive world. For a lean company to retain customers, it can't be satisfied with even a 100% delivery rate. Ask yourself, could we shorten the lead time? Is the 100% too easily achievable? A good place to start is to use key milestones to reflect. For instance, is a new product design going as planned at the halfway point? If the new product works great, is there a way to make it look more sophisticated? That's what you see happening here with this new cup design. Reflection can be the full, painstaking Kaizen process or a simple 5-way exercise, depending on the milestone and the focus of the reflection. However, reflection is another area where it becomes obvious that lean thinking requires a new, supportive company culture. Most people don't like to be asked why something went wrong. It often causes defensiveness because it usually involves consequences. People are conditioned not to ask why, to hide problems or waste. What happens when a child asks why too many times? An adult says, "Because I said so." In traditional companies without a lean culture, leaders play this adult role.
But why so negative? That looks like a great cup. It would look great with Handle Vision's glow-in-the-dark handles.
Focusing on the negative leads to further improvement opportunities.
But why keep trying to improve on an already good product? Isn't that a waste of time?
No product or process is perfect, so a Kaizen culture is a lethal weapon against competitors content with the status quo.
Why don't we spend more Kaizen time on areas that are worse off?
You should. Prioritize your improvement events based on their value and status relative to the company's policy deployment plan. Engaging multiple Kaizen all over the company is how you strive to become a learning organization.
Why chew up all that time, though? Wouldn't it be more lean to 5S one area or work on quick changeovers?
Reflection and Kaizen work to help you identify areas for methods such as 5S. The lean methods are in place to support these leadership principles. Time spent in deep thinking and on improvement is time well spent. It means you're looking at failures as opportunities, and it's cyclical. Improving one area is bound to uncover waste in another, allowing you to work on your whole value stream.
I tell you, though, all this focus on executives. When do we get to the good parts? Managers like me and the people whose work we always have to fix.
Yes, we do have a lot to learn in that area, obviously. I think we're ready to move on to our next set of lean principles. Interrogate your suspect instructions. Okay, Gumshoe, we're back at it. You're lucky the chief didn't have your badge earlier, but he really wants to nail this guy. Click one of the suspects to begin your interrogation. You can choose from 3 different lines of questioning to begin. After you've finished a line of questioning, you can deem the suspect innocent or guilty. You can proceed with a different line of questioning, or you can click another suspect to continue your interrogation. For further assistance, click a thumbprint to see each suspect's profile. First, why would you know the Rockefellers over on Mockingbird?
Well, I'm a locksmith. Have a few clients in that part of town.
Okay, so why were you in the Rockefellers' home recently for a job?
The suckers bought a new front door. Wanted a fancy new handle lock setup installed. Piece of junk, if you ask me. Wouldn't keep anyone out.
Very interesting. So why did you have cause to enter their guest bedroom?
Bedroom? I just said front door. I never went 10 feet from the entryway.
Okay, why don't we cut to the chase? You saw that the Rockefellers keep a side window open. You come in Saturday night, break in to steal their jewelry, get caught, jump out the window, and speed off in your truck.
Are you crazy? Calling me a thief? I didn't even know they got robbed. What would I need their jewelry for? Did they put you up to this? I saw them eyeing me the entire time I was working on their door.
Why so nervous? You smoke? Would you like a cigarette?
Why, yes, that would be great.
Okay, now tell me, why would a well-put-together man such as yourself be sporting such a ratty-looking shirt? Get into some kind of fight?
Well, a man such as me can do what he wants. I answer to nobody.
Of course, because you're unemployed. Why would someone who's unemployed be wearing such nice clothes and have such nice things at home?
I create my own work. I'm a freelance photographer, birds mostly.
And why would a bird watcher have such a rough-looking cut in his shirt? You aren't using a tree stand, are you?
Sometimes, yes, but not this time. I was just riding my bike and got too close to a fence.
So, a bird watcher who lives at home, doesn't have a car or a steady job, but wears the finest clothes and jewelry. Got it. Now, why don't you tell me where you were last Saturday evening around midnight?
Went to meet a few friends for a drink. But, you know, they didn't show. So I had that drink and then went home alone. Hey, is my lawyer here yet? I'd like...
Why so nervous? You smoke? Would you like a cigarette?
No, sir. Thanks. I don't smoke. May I ask what this is about?
How about I ask the questions here? Why don't you tell me, why should I believe that instead of you hitting your head and arm while breaking into and escaping from homes?
Well, because I can prove it. A nice woman invited me in to clean up my cut and call the owner of the dog.
Why, if this dog was chasing you, do you not have any bites or other injury? Did this nice woman save you?
Like I said, sir, I know dogs to be a hazard, so I plan accordingly. Carry some meat-flavored bones in my bag. Dog caught a whiff right before he pounced.
So tell me, if all this is true, why would the Rockefellers personally name you as a potential suspect?
I suppose they're suspicious of the new guy. I hear the old mailman was pretty close with Mr. Rockefeller, and I saw them looking at me funny when I didn't tie the church. I just forgot my money.
Feedback. Sorry, suspect 3's alibi checks out. The woman who cared for his injury. Let's keep this brief. Nah, I'm sure, but they... Feedback. Well done, detective. Suspect 2 committed the crime. No lawyer in the city can get him out of this mess. You've now seen what going to the source, observe... Congratulations, you have completed Chapter 2. You should now have a good understanding of the importance of becoming a learning organization.